Fred Lemmons on the clarinet. He is a clarinetist.
Hi, Mary.
It's lovely to have you here. I am tickled that you were willing to be a part of Mostly Arts.
Thanks for asking me.
We're going to have you play and tell certain portions of your life story at the same time. Chattanooga, Tennessee, and your grandmother.
Right, Chattanooga is my hometown. My grandmother raised me. Interesting part about my grandmother, a wonderful woman. She ran what they called a rest home in her house, like a assisted living. And I lived with 8 little old ladies from when I was 6 years old till I went to college. I didn't have a room in the house because the little old ladies had the rooms. I slept on the floor in the living room, and that was my life. My brother and I lived there, and my grandmother took really good care of us. And these nice ladies were just so sweet to me all the time.
But then, in 5th grade, you went to the Chattanooga Symphony.
Right. That was kind of an epiphany now I look back. I went to hear the Chattanooga Symphony for a children's concert, and I'm in 5th grade. And the music just made me feel so good. And I just felt like I was in another world. And I'm not sure exactly what they played, but it was wonderful. And I went home and told my grandmother, I have to be in the band.
Okay. And at this point, you're going to play something that has to do with children's music. Right. Peter and the Wolf. Right,
I am. And I'm going to change my clarinets. I have 2 clarinets with me today. This is the B-flat clarinet, which is usually like in a band. And I'm going to play Peter and the Wolf. In Peter and the Wolf, as you know, as some of you know, the theme of the cat is played by the clarinet. Mm-hmm. That's the theme of the cat.
And that cat is after the bird. So it's kind of a stealthy, sly
right, exactly.
theme.
He's kind of crawling through the grass, the cat is. And then all of a sudden there's the wolf in the background, and the bird and the cat decide they need to go up the tree. So I'm going to take the cat up the tree.
Okay.
The cat makes it up the tree, and it's all safe and sound.
The finger work that you have to do in order to play that's extraordinary.
Well, it's just repetition, just going over it and over again, time after time after time.
Well, I played the flute, so I know the finger work, but I never did anything like that. Never.
Well, it all builds, like talking about the 5th grade, and just playing scales and learning how to play, and your fingers get better and better, and you have to practice. And I've practiced a lot, you know. And
that's worth saying for anybody who wants to be good at an instrument. You have to practice.
Yeah, and I got better at it as I went along. So, I enjoyed playing the clarinet, so I was good at it.
So you decided on clarinet at some point. Is that because of Mr. Baker, or had you already decided to play the clarinet?
No, I wanted to play the saxophone. And because it was so shiny and cool and in a nice shape. And he told me that he needed a clarinet player. So I asked Mr. Baker, so I started playing clarinet. And then I learned how to play saxophone the next year. I learned how to play flute the next year, and I'm taking piano lessons.
Good grief.
And then in the 9th grade is when I really realized that I could play the clarinet, because I made first chair in all-state band in Tennessee. I didn't really know I could play clarinet, really, till that day. And I'd worked really hard on that audition for that. And Mr. Baker at that time, I'm in the 9th grade, called the principal clarinet player in the Chattanooga Symphony to listen to me play. Let me audition for him. He says, I don't teach 9th graders. But he convinced him. So I went up there and I played for Mr. Craven. And we played along, and I'm sight reading and I'm playing music, and he's going to the file cabinet and bringing out harder music for me to sight read. And then he told me the rules. He said, here's how much money it's going to cost you. I'd like to teach you every 2 weeks. And says you're allowed to have one bad lesson. If you have 2 bad lessons in a row, you won't come back.
Oh, that was part of the rules.
That was the rule.
You needed to practice in order to advance.
For the beginning. So if I had a bad lesson, say I didn't practice a lot that week, I was busy in biology or something, okay. I would be already sweating it, because clarinet lessons were really important, because the band program at my high school was not the greatest. So clarinet lessons were really important.
Okay.
I mean, you know, it was a good band, but not the greatest band.
All right, so Mr. Craven was really important to you.
He was, and I took from Mr. Craven in college too. He was my teacher from the 9th grade through my undergrad in college.
All right, now how did you happen to get into the University of Tennessee at Chattanooga?
Well, I had to audition, and they'd already known I'd made first chair in all-state band, and I had to play solos for the band director, and then they offered me a music scholarship to be in the band. But I had to play in like marching band, woodwind quintet, orchestra, band, 2 jazz bands for my scholarship. I played in 6 groups per semester.
And they were all associated with the university?
University of Tennessee at Chattanooga.
I just happened to go online and look up University of Tennessee at Chattanooga and music education. Your requirements, many of them had to do with music.
Right, well, even back in the day, as you say, back in the 70s, late 70s, I had to learn how to play the trumpet for a semester because I was going to be a band director. I had to learn how to play the oboe.
Oh, you were music education, so you had to know.
A semester of violin.
Oh my goodness.
A semester of trombone from the teacher at the university. So
that's astonishing.
So it was pretty intense, but you know, you have to know how to play them to teach them, is what they thought.
Okay. Now, during the time that you were going to college, university, you also taught.
I did. I was approached by a band director at a private school, it was kindergarten through 12, who said he was going to leave, and he thought I'd be the best candidate and would I consider going there to teach. And I was getting close to my degree, and so I taught school half a day and went to college half a day. And I'm doing marching band.
That's a rigorous schedule.
I'm teaching 3rd grade music. I'm teaching, you know, kindergarten singing class.
Okay.
And then I played in the symphony at night in Chattanooga. I was working all day, all night, every day in Chattanooga. Okay,
so you majored in music education, but why did you decide not to be a teacher? You'd had some teaching experience.
I did. The performance just seemed to be kind of in my heart and really my soul. And so I started thinking about being a player and really I flew to Chicago to take music lessons with the first chair clarinet player in Chicago Symphony. I would go challenge myself to go to the next level. So I was trying to be a player.
How did you make a connection with him?
Well, my teacher, I heard about this teacher at a local school during the summer. He was doing a summer camp. He was a teacher at Louisiana State University. He went to school in Chicago and took from the world's greatest clarinet player.
Oh.
So the grandfather of American clarinet players taught at Northwestern in Chicago.
Okay.
And so I went to take a lesson with him, as we would say, and I had to play the audition list for the Chattanooga Symphony. And there's always a list. You play Mozart Clarinet Concerto, you play the Beethoven symphonies, you do this. There's always a list of hard things for clarinet players. And he really liked the way I played the clarinet, and he says, I need a graduate assistantship next year in grad school. He said, would you be my graduate assistant? And he offered me the assistantship on the spot. So,
but he wasn't in Chicago.
No, he was in Louisiana.
Right.
But he took from people in Chicago when he went to school.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you went to LSU, Louisiana State University.
To be with that teacher, to be with that clarinet teacher.
Okay. All right.
And I was there.
And you had completed your undergraduate degree, your bachelor's. So now you were working on your master's.
I was. I did my master's for 2 years. Then I worked on my doctorate for 2 years. And I stayed there and worked with him. And just continued to play in many ensembles there and just refining my craft, really. And learning from him, who took from the world's greatest clarinet player.
What did you have to study for your master's?
Well, he was talking about music history, You know,
Okay.
we're talking about 8th century music to modern music.
So a broad education about music.
Yeah, and also very, very refined too. And also, I did a lot of performing there at LSU.
With what groups?
Like wind ensemble, orchestra. I was in a woodwind quintet. So I've been exposed to many types of music. You know, 5 people, a whole orchestra, a whole band, playing solos with the band. I was the first chair clarinet player in the wind ensemble. I was the first chair clarinet player in the orchestra. So I was being put in the hot seat a lot.
Well, that's good, right?
Absolutely.
You were preparing yourself for what was to come.
Well, they thought I was the best player there. That's what that's about.
Right.
And I had to audition for all those things
Right.
to do that.
So then, at some point, when you were working on your doctorate, you found out about the fact that there was an audition for clarinet, the Marine Band.
Yeah, the United States Marine Band in Washington, D.C. It's called the President's Own, so it's the band at the White House. Everyone knows about that band if you know about music. And the audition list was in the Musicians Union newspaper. All the jobs in the world are in that paper. So I flew to Washington, D.C. on a weekend. I'm studying for my doctoral exams in the hotel room, and I'm practicing for my audition on Monday. I flew on there on Friday night, and there all weekend. And I only had to play one thing on the audition, one solo, so it's easy. Because back then, the band for Ronald Reagan, this is Reagan's time, 88 is when I got in the band.
Okay.
The band would go over to the White House and play for 3 or 4 hours with a day's notice. They'd have to sight read 3 or 4 hour concert for the president. So the audition was all sight reading that I took. So they put.
So you had no idea of what you were going to be asked to play.
And I did not, no idea at all. And it's behind a curtain too. It's called a blind audition. You only have a number, and you walk in the room. There's carpet on the floor. They don't want to know if you're a man or a woman. They don't know if you care if you're fat or skinny. They don't know. They know your number is 23. And you sit down, and the proctor, the person next to you, says, play from there to there. And you start playing. And if you make a mistake, that's pretty much it.
Okay.
And it gets harder and harder. So the first 30 people were cut from that audition. Didn't even go to the second round.
Oh, okay.
So I was number 63. I remember this. So I was glad to hear my number called later in the day. And then you go to the next
So they
round.
did winnow it down?
To like 15 people, from like 80 people to 15.
Okay.
Their best 15 people, they thought. Then you do the next round, and it gets harder and harder. Then they do another round, and they take the curtain down, they can see you. And then you have an interview about...
So how many people when they take the curtain down?
There's probably 12 of us then.
Okay.
Right.
And they're looking for just one.
One person, right, and it got down to the final 5. And they come in the room, and they say, congratulations to number 63, and they called my name.
Okay.
They said, let's go meet the colonel. So I went downstairs and met Colonel Bourgeois, the director of the Marine Band.
Okay.
And then I was going to play a summer of opera in Ohio that summer, so I didn't go to the band until September, because that was May.
Okay, so you quit your doctoral work, although you probably learned a great deal.
Well, I had my doctorate finished. I'm technically a doctor right now. All I had to do was write a paper,
Okay.
my paper. And it's complicated that I went back 3 years later to write my paper, and they said, well, you owe us $30,000 because you've been gone for 3 years.
Okay,
And they didn't
so
tell me
forget
those
it.
rules, things like
Okay,
that.
all right.
So I didn't need a doctorate to be in the Marine Band.
Right.
And it, family and that kind of thing came along, and I was in the Marine Band, and I was happy as I could be.
Okay.
21 years.
Which sounds wonderful. Now you're going to play some John Philip Sousa music. You want to talk about him briefly?
I will. John Philip Sousa was the director of the Marine Band for 20 years in the late 80s, and he wrote 129 marches. John Philip Sousa did. So I'm going to play a couple of marches. I'm sure that we know these. This march is called the Washington Post March. He wrote this march on a train from New York to Boston. So like 4 or 5 hours. The concept of this march he outlined. And so I'll just play the theme of it.
And I think this is a familiar
I'll just play
march.
the theme. That's the opening theme of Washington Post, and there's different sections of a march. There's the trio and those kinds of things. There's kind of the road map, we call it. Of course, the most famous march he wrote was Stars and Stripes Forever. By the way, the Washington Post march was written in 1889. And I don't know how many marches I played in my life, thousands and thousands of marches with the Marine Band. This is Stars and Stripes Forever. It's the national march of the United States. It was named the official march in 1987 by Ronald Reagan.
Oh.
And I'll just play a little bit. Okay, so then we get to the trio. You know this part. Right? And then there's a really interesting thing in the march that band people know about. It's called the dog fight. So it's like this. So listen to this,
Okay.
It's a dog fight. That's called the dog fight.
All of that Sousa music is familiar.
Right, 129 marches. It's just amazing that he did that. But he was the
Right.
director of the Marine Band.
How many people in the Marine Band?
There's 150 or so. There's a
Do
staff.
they all play at once?
No, well, it depends. You have the orchestra, which may be 40 people. The band, the band went on tour every year. It's the first time I ever came to Vermont was on tour with the band. We did a 50-day tour in the fall every year. So we come to a different city every day and stay in a different hotel every night and play a concert every night in a different city.
That must have been exciting.
For 50 days. So I came to Waterbury on tour. It was October, and it was just
Foliage?
Absolutely. And but I've been in every city in America playing concerts. I mean, if you say Sioux Falls, South Dakota, or Santa Fe, I've been there and been to a lot of great places and playing concerts for America.
All right, now, you were in Washington, D.C., but then you decided you would go to Asheville, North Carolina. Is that right?
Right. Yeah, because I'd visited Asheville on tour with the band. And it's a very nice city. And also, Asheville is an art city. There's many orchestras there.
That's one of the reasons.
So I moved there, and well, first of all, I had to turn in my clarinets. I owned these, but when I got out of the band owned my clarinets. It was a government property.
Okay.
So I had to buy clarinets. I took an audition, and I won that audition. And then I took another audition, and I won that audition.
So what were these auditions for?
Like symphonies, like the Hendersonville Symphony, the Asheville Symphony,
Okay.
the Brevard Philharmonic, the Asheville Lyric Opera. I played in 4 different groups.
Okay.
And then a university heard that I was in town and asked me to be the teacher at the university. And so I taught clarinet at a university called Mars Hill University. And then the next year I taught at Brevard University also. So I'm playing in 4 music groups and teaching at 2 universities simultaneously. So I wasn't home much.
Okay. So how many years was that in North Carolina?
About 10 years in North Carolina, and that's where I met my wife. I was playing saxophone in a big band, and I do play saxophone also. So
Really?
I do. Saxophone and clarinet and flute are very similarly fingered, so
Okay.
they go well.
All right, yeah.
So I do play saxophone a lot. Yeah.
So you own a saxophone?
I own 3 saxophones. I do.
Yeah, you didn't tell me that before.
Yeah, no,
Do you
yeah.
own a flute?
I do own a flute, yes.
You do?
I'm not a great flute player because it's different here, the embouchure.
You have to have the breath control.
Right, it's fingers.
Well, you have to have breath control for the,
Yeah,
the
you're
clarinet.
You're a flute player.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's there's a lot of air that goes into anything like this, and you got the reed and.
Tell me about the reed.
Well, the reeds, it's a single reed. The oboe makes their own reeds, but it's a French reed, and they're all different. I buy them by the box, and they're, I might get.
Do you need to change the reed every time you play?
Humidity and temperature affect the reed.
Okay,
This reed is different this morning when I played at home than when I came in here today. It's different.
that's astonishing.
But it's gotten better. It's getting fine now. We're getting adjusted to the room. But it's amazing what humidity, elevation, because I remember going to Boulder, Colorado and playing in Boulder, Colorado on tour, 7,000 feet, and my reed didn't work because the elevation affects the vibration of the reed. So it's kind of out of my pay grade a little bit. But I just play the clarinet.
Okay. Well, at this point, you're going to play some Mozart, right?
I
You
am.
want to say a bit about that?
Yeah, Mozart. This is on the radio. This is on the A clarinet, by the way.
And what's the difference?
Well,
I can hear the difference, but
right. Well, clarinets are in different lengths. So this clarinet is a little bit longer than the B flat clarinet, which is in marching band, and everybody plays that.
Okay.
But the A clarinet has a different sound. So if I play a certain note, it sounds a half step lower than that clarinet.
oh, okay.
So you could play in the key of C sharp, or play in the key of a B on this clarinet. It'd be the same key.
Okay.
It's kind of funny, but it sounds way different. It has a darker sound.
Yes, it does.
But there's all kinds of clarinets: bass clarinets, alto clarinets, E flat clarinets, all different sizes. I do play bass clarinet too, by the way. I do have a bass
But
clarinet.
which is the one? The A clarinet is the one that's played in marching bands?
No, B flat clarinet.
B flat.
B flat
okay.
clarinet, right. And A clarinet is an orchestral instrument
Got
mostly.
it. Okay.
So this is the opening to the Mozart Clarinet Concerto, which is on every orchestra audition almost 90% of the time. This is the one thing they want to hear at the very beginning.
Okay.
And they decide, a committee, in the first 3 measures, do they want you to hear you keep playing? And sometimes they'll stop you if they don't like what they hear.
After 3 measures?
Yes, absolutely. It's not happened to me, but I've heard it's happened. So this is the Mozart Clarinet Concerto, wrote late in his life, and is played on the radio all the time, like on public broadcasting. First time I ever played this piece was in the 11th grade in high school. I played this piece when I was in 11th grade. That's
quite advanced.
and it's also 35 minutes long, so it's a very long piece of music.
It's a sweet sound. It
Thank
really
you.
is. The
It's
music, and you're playing at the clarinet.
Well, Mozart met a great clarinet player and wrote a piece for him. That's a lot of composers would hear a great clarinet player and write pieces for them.
Oh,
They would make friends with Brahms, did the same thing, heard a great clarinet player somewhere and said, I'm going to write pieces for you, and kind of came out of retirement. Brahms did, and wrote
Okay.
for the clarinet late in his life, yeah.
interesting.
We were the babies of the orchestra. We were only invented in like 1690, so that's a lot.
1690.
No Bach, no Handel
Okay,
for clarinet.
all right.
And I love
got it.
Bach, but there's no music for clarinet for Bach.
Okay. Somebody could
Somebody could,
figure out how to.
maybe so. That'd be great.
Maybe not. After Asheville, you went to Lexington, Kentucky,
I did.
right?
Yeah. My sister-in-law lived there, my wife's sister, and the Asheville scene was kind of slowing down a little bit, and we just felt, we wanted to move on.
Okay.
And so the sisters wanted to get back together, so we moved there, and lived there for 7 years, and built a house there and renovated a house. Great time, but there was hardly any music in Lexington. It was all the horse millionaires. They liked country music,
Yeah.
and I don't know what they liked, but it wasn't symphony or opera,
Okay.
I love to play opera more than anything.
Okay.
I'm going to play an opera piece at the very end in a minute. But live music is a great thing. But I played in church there some, but there were no concerts that I ever played on. There's the Lexington Philharmonic, but they weren't very active. So.
Did you practice even though you weren't playing?
No, not too much. I was
Okay.
kind of renovating a house, and I practiced.
And you said you worked for the VA when you were there.
Yeah, so I was definitely getting, just antsy.
Okay.
I needed something to do. So I started working for the Department of Veterans Affairs since I'm a veteran. and trying to help people, trying to help veterans. And I did that for 4 years there.
Okay, then you came to Vermont to play in a concert.
All right.
And you and your wife decided, why not come back to Vermont?
Right, why not live? She's a Vermonter.
She's a Vermonter.
Yeah, we played a concert here, and it was July, and we stayed in her parents owned an inn in Goshen, Blueberry Hill, and we stayed in her parents' room, and it's July, and the windows are open, and there's a breeze, and
Right.
we're playing music. I said, what are we living in Kentucky for? Literally, that was July, and we moved here in September.
Okay,
We sold
and
our
then
house.
you found Alistair Stout, the minister of music at Grace Church.
What a great thing that has been for me, and it continues to be a great thing. I played yesterday in church. I'm going to play again in October and November. What a great musician he is, and he's just it's just been just a godsend for me to have him here. And other people are finding out about me too. But you hear me play somewhere, like in Middlebury College. My pianist is down there, Cynthia Heward, and then somebody heard me play. Said, "Well, you need to be in Vermont." I'm in the Vermont Symphony Trio now, playing with oboe player, flute, and clarinet. So I'm in that group, playing children's concerts, kind of like full circle,
Okay.
like when I went in
Right.
5th grade. So I'm playing for kids in gyms,
Right.
and we did 50 concerts in last semester,
That's a lot.
3 a day, and
Okay.
playing for kids. It was great. It was
So
great.
you're traveling around the state.
Yeah, finding my way around.
Okay,
Yeah, and we've only not even been here almost 3 years yet. It's not,
right, which isn't very long.
No, not at all.
And you're open to auditioning
Right.
if an opportunity arises.
So like if there's an audition for Vermont Symphony, and there may be for a second clarinet player, there's word about that. But if there's an audition, I'll take it and see what happens.
Right.
If I wanted to do it.
But you want to stay in Vermont?
All right, we're absolutely staying in Vermont.
Okay.
We're not moving. No, we're not going anywhere. We love it here. It's beautiful. Couldn't be happier. Couldn't be
Okay.
happier here.
That is great. You're going to finish with Rossini.
Right, Rossini, who wrote all these great operas, and he wrote this great clarinet piece that it's a introduction, theme, and variations. And I'm just going to play the slow variation, which is just mostly, it's just pretty music and very operatic.